So I went through all the horror movies currently on Hulu, just A to Z, and picked my favorite one. There really aren't that many, but I did cut out a lot of stuff. Like, there were just some movies that I just didn't think were really horror. Body at Brighton Rock is pretty good, and it does have a bear, and bears are terrifying. If you haven't seen Backcountry, I think it's called. Oh my god. It has one of the worst scenes I've ever seen in a movie, and it just happens, and it's terrible. Clove Hitch Killer, again, not really a horror movie. Very good movie. We really enjoyed it, but yeah, not really horror. Possessor, terrific movie. I loved that movie, but again, I wouldn't really consider it like scary in that sense. I don't know. What does horror mean exactly? And then there's lots of like horror comedy, which I just... it's more comedy to me than horror. Like Army of Darkness, I love Army of Darkness, but like that's not, come on, that's not horror. I wanted this list to be like true spooky stuff that like really scares me, you know. So the first one, in no particular order, Amulet. Basically, a guy shows up to work, just do things around the house for this woman and her older mother, who she is caring for the older mother who's dying, and just weird stuff starts happening. This came out early last year. It was a directorial debut, if I remember correctly, and holy crap, I will watch anything this lady puts out. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that, but I will watch anything she puts out. This was so good. Super, super spooky, super gross, like really gross couple parts, and just an awesome, awesome twist that I did not see coming. Oh, and it's got the awful, awful creepy lady from Harry Potter. What was her name? Umbra or something? Yeah, she's in it. The Lodge, 2019. So this woman has to stay in this like isolated cabin basically with her boyfriend's 2 children. He has to leave suddenly and she's stuck there with them. And again, weird, creepy stuff starts happening. This movie is absolutely anger inducing. I don't think I've ever been so angry at children. The main actress, Riley Keough, does a really, really great job. She really sells the almost like fish out of water. Like she really doesn't know how to act around these kids, and also given her past, she's just not really great with like normal people in general, and I think she really pulls that off. And man, the ending is pretty great. Pyewacket. Number 1, I love the name. It's so easy to remember. Like Amulet, I always think about this movie and I can never for the life of me remember what it was called, because Amulet, what? Like it's so vague. It's like, what's that show, Kingdom? That's so great, but holy shit, I'm never gonna remember that it's called Kingdom. But Pyewacket, nope, never forget it. It's a basic, like, be careful what you wish for type story, just told perfectly. It is so creepy. It's perfectly paced. It has 2 of the scariest things ever. It's like tailor-made for me. I feel like Black Coat's Daughter, which is also one of my favorite horror movies, is like tailor-made for me just in the way that it's spooky. It's like Oz Perkins just knows exactly what spooks me out, creeps me out, you know? And then with Pyewacket, there are 2 scenes in particular that just have like the 2 things that I really hate. Not bears, aside from bears, but like 2 of the spooky things that like really get me. But aside from that, it's just so good. It's just so well told. Saint Maud is one we just watched. I hesitate to put it on here because, again, I'm talking about like I want it to be real spooky and real horror-y. And it's really almost more of a psychological thriller, I guess, type movie than it is horror. There are a couple like scary parts, but for the most part, it's just really unsettling. But I really, really like it, so I wanted to put it on here. The opening scene is a really creepy, like, oh shit, something happened. What's going on with this character? Something's going on with this character. Okay, and now she's doing hospice care with this woman who's dying of cancer, and creepy stuff starts happening. Like every horror movie, right? And there's just a whole lot of, is this happening? Is this not happening? I think by the end it's fairly clear what the answer is, but yeah, the ride is really fun. And by fun, I mean, oh, you just really feel for this girl. The actress is great. Finally, The Wretched, which I had no interest in seeing just by the cover art. I don't know, I just like, what is this? But partner was like, let's watch it. It kind of reminds me of like Fright Night in the sense that Well, number one, you have a kid right next door who's figuring out like something's going on with their neighbor, right? Thinks the neighbor is a witch, that whole thing, similar to Fright Night where he thinks the neighbor's a vampire. So it has that element, but even there's not really a whole lot of gore or anything like that. It's kind of like, I think Red Letter Media, they've talked about this a lot, how there aren't really horror movies like starter horror movies anymore, like Gremlins, stuff like that, where kind of younger kids can watch it. And it's still like the stakes are still high. It's still taken seriously to some degree, right? Like people are dying in this. We got to stop the bad thing, right? But it's not just so over the top scary that like your average 12-year-old couldn't watch it. I mean, I was watching every horror movie at like 6 years old, but like most kids are not going to watch this stuff, right? And I think they're right. There doesn't seem to be, I don't know, those types of movies don't really come out anymore. But I think The Wretched is kind of like that. It is very, very creepy, very unsettling. The actress who plays the witch, the one, spoiler, she ends up being possessed, taken over by this witch, does a fantastic job. But it is a bit tamer and definitely has that more of a like Fright Night feel. So yeah, those are my personal favorite horror movies on Hulu. Currently, if I were to set up like a playlist of stuff to watch from Hulu for Halloween, this is what would be on it. And I am going to do a Netflix one of these, which will have a TV show on it as well. Stay tuned for that. Is that a plane?